You know, if it's really shallow, you can think about it this. If you're catching them and spawning in the bushes and that water's 10 inches to a foot and they're up there spawning, those fish won't stay very long. That female will get up there and get done and she's going back offshore again where she came from. But we get some big rains, she will linger. But again, what you'll find is once that fish is through spawning, post-spawn, and you can have big water in the bushes, those male fish will be scattered out everywhere. They'll be out there where they spawned at. That female will go back and get on key bushes, regardless of the depth. You know, you're like, well, those back bushes back there got 4 or 5 feet. Still, those bushes that are in 4 or 5 foot that are closer to that travel corridor, those are going to be the best ones. That's where your bigger fish are going to be. And sometimes it can be situations, you know, when post-spawn is, then here's the shad spawn. That just makes it that much better if you've got that water out there, because those shad will spawn on certain bushes. And then as we get in post-spawn, you get bushes with a lot of leaves on them, and shad love green leaves to spawn on. So when you start having that, it's just even better. But again, we need some depth in those bushes post-spawn to keep those bigger fish out there. But when you have that shad spawn with it, and again, it's going to be point bushes, and as the post-spawn is, because it's just later and everything's greening up, I'm going to look for the greenest bushes out there, because it has the most shade, and those bait fish are attracted to those green leaves in the water. So just a couple things to think of when it gets to be that post-spawn period. You know, I think the next slide is summer, and we're going to skip a little bit of time when we go to the summer deal, but that post-spawn deal, just think about this. Deeper bushes for the bigger fish, bushes with green leaves. I've been to certain places where vines, like morning glories or honeysuckle or something, will grow on the bushes. That'll be a key bush. You can look down a line and the thickest bush will be the best one. That's what they like, because then you think about this. After those fish spawn, they're thinking about 2 things, eating and resting, and that's it. So we're looking for the best place for them to do that, you know. So another thing to think about, you know. And I can tell you another thing, key post-spawn, be out there in the dark in the morning as soon as it breaks daylight. That's the best time to find those shad spawning. Then you can find those key bushes. And what you can do is you can mark that, those fish won't leave. So those shad, basically what happens during the shad spawn, they start at dark, they spawn through the night. We catch the tail end of it as bass fishermen in the morning, and you know, a cloudy, windy day or whatever, they'll spawn a little later in the day, but typically it goes away pretty quick, so you need to be out there in the dark to find it. But what will happen is you can mark those bushes where the shad spawn was in the morning, and you can fish those bushes all day. Those fish don't leave. They're easier to catch, of course, when they're active and the shad are spawning, but you just come back. Like, so in a situation like that, when I find bushes that the shad are spawning on during this post-spawn period, of course you want to be there at daylight, but then throughout the day, and we'll get into bait selection about that. I'll probably have to go through everything again, and we'll do the bait selection. I'll do spawn, pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn and all that. But again, because there'll be some bait choices different as the day progresses during these periods of time also. But just something to think about during the post-spawn. Think about it, pre-spawn, post-spawn, they're a lot the same. But the difference is pre-spawn they're going this way and post-spawn they're going that way, but they still set up on that same stuff. So that's just something to think about. So the next period is summertime. The summertime is kind of a niche deal, flipping bushes in that, you know, it takes some big water conditions, big rains. Of course, it seems like we have that now. It seems like now when it rains that we either have a drought or it floods, you know, so we have these conditions, but summertime, you know, is...
And the information Bass University provides isn't your basic run-of-the-mill fishing video. This is specific information from A to Z to help you learn, get to the water, and become a better angler quickly.